Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today's video is going to be all about painting, and I'm going to explain to all of you exactly everything I don't know about painting. Because you can find all kinds of experts on YouTube, right? That'll tell you everything you need to know about painting. I'm going to tell you some things I don't know about painting, and then I'm going to share my experiences on some things that I do know about painting. And we're going up to Northern Ontario in this video, and I'm going to show you some paint that I'm going to put on my cabin up in Northern Ontario. The reason why I'm using this particular paint, and well, I'm going to share some tips that I do know about. But let's get into the paint first, and I'll share everything that I don't know about paint. Okay, so let's start off with the paint right here. And if we just take a look on the top here, you can see where they put a little dab on here, the color. And this is the color of the cabin. And I will be painting a block wall and some LP Smart siding. And if we just take a look at here, it says paint and primer. And of course, the paint jugs are getting smaller all the time. We're down to 3.5 liters. And I like to use semi-gloss because, well, I find semi-gloss after a couple of years goes down to almost a flat anyway, so I don't like starting off with a flat or an eggshell. I use a semi-gloss. Get a little bit more durability out of it. This is going on a concrete block wall, and this is the rollers I use right here. So why am I using this roller? Well, I'm going to roll on a concrete block, and I want as high a pile as possible. So this is a pretty thick pile on here, and I've had good luck rolling it on with a high pile. I really don't care for the brands, doesn't really matter. And I'm going to share everything I know about this paint. I know absolutely nothing about a gallon of paint. I'll tell you what right now. I just buy by the best price. Make sure it's got the primer built into it, and that's pretty much it. Now this particular brand is just as good as every other name brand. I really can't say I could go on YouTube and tell somebody buy this brand or buy that brand. I think they're all good. I've used multiple different brands, you know, from the whole spectrum. As long as they're a brand name, I find they all work good. I've never run across a bad paint, have you? So I just go by price, and I make sure that it's a well-known brand name. So let's take a look at what exactly I'm using this for, and I'm going to share a mistake that I made, and I got to use this paint to correct it, and hopefully it'll help you out in the future so you don't make this same mistake as well. Okay, so here's the first picture here. And as you can see, well, can you notice all the white streaks, the vertical white streaks are going down on the siding here? And that's because at the top I do have a drip edge that I put on there so no water will go in the backside. And of course I used latex caulking, and I thought by me just putting a coat of white paint over top of the latex caulking that it would help, but actually it didn't. The paint in the full sun here on this side here just started to crack, and beneath is the latex caulking, and you could see all the white has been bleeding down because the rain will hit the outside of the exterior, bleed down to the latex caulking, and of course it bleeds down onto the siding. So I gotta paint all that. So let's move on to the next picture. Well, this one here you can see is the back of the cabin. And the total width of this cabin is 27 feet long, and it's about 7.5, 8 feet tall. But you can see it's all block concrete, and I had painted that about 15 years ago white, and you could see how it's all faded now and everything. So you really need to have a paint with a primer, and of course this is a latex paint. It's a paint that you can just you know, clean up everything with water. It's not an oil-based paint. I find I've had good success with latex paint. There's no need for me to go with an oil-based paint anymore. And I'm going to be painting all of this where you see the white. And I'll be rolling it all on except for some spots where you have to get close to the wood here. and you know, or trim around the window there. I'll just be using a brush, and the rest I'll just be rolling on the best I can, nothing fancy. So let's go on to the next picture here, and this will be showing the other part that I have to paint, and it's the end there where the chimney comes out. So let's take a look at that picture next. Okay, so there you can see there's another block wall. So this is about 16 feet wide by 8 feet high. So I think 2 gallons will do it. And of course, on the first picture I showed you with the LP Smart siding, well, that's just going to be a quick, you know, like quick roll over top. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The white staining is really just on the surface, so it won't take much paint. So I figured 2 gallons will do the back of the brick and this brick here, and you can see how dirty it looks. So yeah, I think this will be a nice little project, and we'll take a look at the before here, and then we'll end up looking at the after and see how it looks. So let's go back in the shop, and I just want to explain a couple more things before we head up to Northern Ontario. Okay, so before we head up to Northern Ontario, I'd just like to say, what is the preparation I'm going to do to these walls? Well, I'm doing absolutely nothing, guys. Absolutely nothing, except I'm going to take my water hose out, and I'm just going to wash the exterior quickly just to get all the dust and the dirt that's on it. That's about it. I ain't doing anything more. And I mean, this is not the Taj Mahal. It's well, it's a remote cabin up in Northern Ontario, right? And I'm throwing that paint on like the closest thing you come to it is just getting a big bucket and just chucking it on. That's as close as you're going to get to the quality that I'm going to be doing today. And so I'm going to show you exactly, you know, you've seen what the pictures look like before. So we're going to head up Northern Ontario, and all I'm going to do is just day one when I go up there, I'm just going to wash down the walls, the exterior walls, just with the garden hose, just real quick. Let it dry overnight. The next day, I'm firing on that paint like there's no tomorrow. So let's head up Northern Ontario, and let's take a look at the finished product. Well, here we are. We're up in Northern Ontario. I just got finished about a half an hour ago. I just finished washing up. I'm going to show you the paint job. See what you think. Huge improvement from what I had before with that greasy looking white all bled through with the cement block. Let's take a look now. I'll take you off the tripod, give you a 360 around the camp. Okay, it's a bit windy here, so bear with me. So you can see on this side here, I repainted it. I don't have all that white streaks bleeding down from above, and you can see where I cut in here and just put a second layer. I put 2 coats of paint on there because that caulking was bleeding down white streaks. So let's go over to this side here. See if you can notice a huge difference. Now, isn't that a lot better than just the white block? I think it makes it looks a lot better. I mean, it's not perfect. Rolled it on. You know, probably I could use another coat, but that's all she's going to be right there. And that's this side here. So I'm going to give that another coat of white paint in the future. But besides that, you could see all I did was put a 2-inch tape along here just to protect the wood. And that's pretty much it right there. Okay, so I'm going to show you something here. You see that door there that I put in for the loft years and years ago, where there was a door there and I just put like what I thought to be a better door? Well, she's looking pretty greasy. So what I'm going to do is reface that whole thing, redo it all together, block in the door, and we'll come back over to this side here, and I'm going to make a door during the winter time, a maintenance free, all made out of that PVC, and it's going to go on this side, right above the window, right about there. So that's going to be a project for this year, and well, I think you're going to enjoy that project, watching it built all out of PVC. And I'm not going to worry about this end of the cabin right here for now. That's going to be a job, well, for maybe a couple of years to go. Well, thanks for joining me here today. And well, do I have any tips for you? Well, don't do it when it's really, really hot. Wait until the fall of the year. You don't want to really be doing it, when you got the sun, hot sun beating down on where you want to actually roll, because it'll just, well, I used a little bit less than them 2 jugs of paint, and I think, well, if it would have been like the middle of the summer, smoking hot, well, I'll tell you what, I would have probably used 4, because it would have just been drying on as fast as I could roll it. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things from Northern Ontario. Cheers.